This is more to the story. Today, my guest is Dr. Morgan Reynolds. He had earned a PhD from the University of Wisconsin in 1971. He was also a professor emeritus of economics at Texas A&M University. Chief economist under the U.S. Department of Labor from 2001-2002. He was a Bush appointee. He served as the director of the Criminal Justice Department for the National Center for Policy Analysis, and he was also a senior fellow there. He was the co-author of 6 books and 50 articles he had published. Dozens of policy studies were also published from him. Today we have Dr. Morgan Reynolds joining us. Hello, Dr. Reynolds.
Hello, Mike. Thanks for inviting me on.
No problem. So I guess the main thing that'll get you onto this podcast is something that you started questioning about 2005 area. Well, I think you said 2004, 2003 is when you first, it kind of popped in your head. But in around mid-2000s, a question you started asking that kind of made a lot of people uneasy. It was what planes? So if you just wanted to dive into that, and we'll go from there.
That was and still is a verboten subject to bring up. Even though you've got the 4 cleanest plane crashes sites in aviation history. So it's just a natural question to ask that very few have. I was preceded in this line of query by some famous people, Rosalie Grable, AKA the Web Fairy, and Gerard Holmgren and Thierry Masson of Pentagon fame. Hunt the Boeing was, I think that website was up within 2 months, maybe 3 months of the events of 9/11, 2001. So I'm not the pioneer, but I suppose partly because of credentialism, I'm pretty well known for this line of pursuit. And that morning of 9/11, I asked, hey, could planes do this? How could they? So here again, it was don't listen to what the media and officialdom is saying, but just use your own thinking skills. Now, I put that on the back burner, and it didn't come really to the forefront for me until the invasion of Iraq in March of 2003, and everybody savvy in Washington, D.C. Knew this was based on lies. And I said, well, if they'd lie about that, what else would they lie about? Oh, bingo. So that's when I first said, I got to investigate this on my own and put aside all the chatter and make up my own mind based on sifting and winnowing, which is a University of Wisconsin saying, sifting and winnowing. So let's look at the evidence. And still today, the number one issue is where's the debris from these alleged plane crashes in the case of the 767 at New York City, those are wide-bodied, they're very large. The way I put it is they take up half of an American football field. It's basically 300 feet long, at least the playing surface aside from the end zones, and it's 150 feet wide. Well, that's wingtip to wingtip, and front end to the back end. A 767 is bigger than that. I mean, that's a lot of plane, and to have the idea that collapsing towers disappeared all these engines and in truth, you can look at a lot of plane crashes, and I did that in that 2007 conference at Madison. You can look at a lot of collisions. We've got Newton's laws, and all these laws are violated by the allegation of a lot of kinetic energy. Well, you need to worry about Newton's third law of motion, which is equal and opposite. Yeah, the faster the plane would go. By the way, it was impossible speeds too. And you can all this stuff has been proven. Mm-hmm. I'm standing tall, and I don't care about popularity or what will make it easier sell. I'm concerned about the truth. And if it's inconvenient, and the perps were smart enough to make the real truth inconvenient, so they did all this magic show on 9/11. And then you can count on the complicit media, the major media, to get in line. You can count on the science and engineering establishment, aside from a few brave souls, to back it up. And, they just get on the gravy train. They're all bought up. I was at Texas A&M in the Department of Economics there for 28 years, and I've seen what universities are about. They're budget maximizers. They're revenue maximizers. So you're not going to get any unpopular truths exposed there, really, aside from they allow the faculty to have a short leash, but very few of them are brave enough to speak up. It's a very top-down society, is what we found with 9/11.
Oh, it is. And for somebody in an academic position to begin speaking up about something like this, it's career suicide. I'm sure you've seen people go down that path. But also, too, I think people underestimate how easy it is to manipulate and control people in those positions. At the end of the day, they just want to get their paycheck. They just want to go home. They don't want to lose a position. They might be close to tenure. They might be close to something else. And it was funny before you were talking about the way it was going. I know here what I see around me is universities and colleges. They're opening more buildings, but they're having more online classes. So you're getting less class time, but there's more space. And I don't know if that's true where you are.
Oh, that is. Universities are, from an efficiency point of view, a travesty. Yeah, there's one very good economist at Ohio University who's got this Center for the Study of College Affordability and Efficiency. I'm paraphrasing it, but he's very good about the scandalous underutilization of physical resources. But that's only part of the problem.
Oh, exactly. Well, another great problem is what do you do when everybody has a degree? What's the standard at? So everybody needs to make that initial investment of 15 grand or 20 grand, depending what kind of degree you take, just to be able to compete with other people. It's kind of like something else is going on there.
Yeah, and what's the value added of a lot of these departments? And here in the U.S., the average college graduate or dropout leaves with a student loan debt of $28,000 and rising. Mm-hmm. And that's a pretty good, nice new car, and it's affecting a lot of things in terms of family formation, marriage, and who wants to marry a gal or a guy with 50 grand in student loan debt, and so on. Mm-hmm. The consequences are very wide ranging.
Oh yeah, and for the parents that are helping the kids pay it, the inheritance that the kids are going to get later is going to be gone because it was all used to that. You have something that normally would have helped somebody out later in life is now suddenly gone.
Yes, and a lot of people are catching on to this, and I noticed at the University of Arkansas here in Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville, the university establishment wants to expand their efforts in online learning quite a bit. And guess who complained? The faculty senate. They're dragging their feet real bad, but the pressures are building to be more market responsive. And hey, we've got technology that allows lots of innovations along this line. And here we've got, no technological advance in universities really since the Middle Ages. You're still somebody talking in front of you, and we've got printed books, and that's where it's supposed to stop.
It's absolutely crazy what it's turned into, because it used to be a place where, well, it's gone too, where somebody could just go into a print shop or a metal factory and just be like, I want to be an apprentice. Can you hire me here? Train me. That's completely gone. You'll have to go to school now. You have to do all these other things just to be able to get that offer.
In manufacturing, a lot of employers complain that the pool of talent isn't there at the front end because so much of it, it's not so much a beast of burden or doing routine things. You've got to be computer savvy, for example. Mm-hmm. And So that's not one of the many hidden problems that really holds back manufacturing.
And I had a friend that was a recruiter for jobs, like he helped connect people, and he said that the biggest problem is lack of experience and overeducation.
Yeah, overeducation. Yeah, yeah, kind of irrelevant, at least for production activity. And there's another thing I want to mention too
Yeah.
about people not being manufacturing averse, and that's the financialization of the economy. We're terribly over invested in the financials, as opposed to, we'll call it real production. I mean, I don't want to diminish the importance of the price system, but the whole monetary setup is designed to suppress price discovery, is the way David Stockman puts it very well. And the interest rate should be market determined. It would smash a lot of these bubbles earlier, and we'd have a much more robust and productive economy. We're going down the rosy path to oblivion. We're going off the cliff. And the general public intuits this. They know things aren't right. They may not know because of all these monetary and fiscal problems, the whole Keynesian approach, which is disastrous. You can look at the most advanced case is Japan. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm getting off on my economist rant, but that it's very important. Economics, I went into it because it's not the most important thing in life, but it's terribly important to everybody. Everybody knows their connection to their wallet is terribly important, and it's not the most noble aspects of life, but it certainly is important to enable us to look forward to the future, have more opportunities, have a wider menu of opportunities we can take advantage of, and live a more dignified life. It's not just prosperity. Oh, it's consumerism. No, it has a lot to do with human dignity.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when people are going from paycheck to paycheck and they can't even get stuff that they normally go. I often wonder why it's so cheap to get a can of Pepsi versus a stalk of lettuce or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll kind of tie back now into what we were talking about before. We're going into the no planes, and we're talking about the education system and how it's limiting. So your academic peers, they're not really questioning this, and it was up to you. So first, one of the first thoughts you had was probably aluminum versus steel. Now, for aluminum versus steel, I've seen a video, at least one, and I know there might be some other events where you've brought in your sledgehammer and a piece of aluminum out, and you've kind of threaten the piece of aluminum with a sledgehammer. And if you want to talk about that for a bit.
Yes. Of course, my thinking was I need to make this more graphic and physically real instead of abstract.
They need to hear a clank.
They need to hear that clank. And the disproportions between the strength of this and mass of one of these towers versus a plane. The plane can't do squat. I don't care how fast it's allegedly going. Mm-hmm. It's going to mostly bounce off. And in that talk I gave in Madison, I show you some pictures of similar plane crashes. And yes, part of the plane will penetrate or be in the building. And problem, however, is that the photos show no visible plane parts in either gash. So there wasn't massive plane parts. The plane would shatter. We all know aluminum is a lightweight and soft metal. That's why it's an alloy. You got to beef it up a little. Mm-hmm. And famously, Joe Keith, the Boeing engineer, he didn't actually work directly for Boeing, but he operated the shaker system. Planes are going to shake, and they're going to get these resonant frequencies. And Joe he didn't want to fly because he knew so much about how fragile these uh, frames were, and he calls them a flying beer can. And you can look at how they manufacture planes and during production. It's got that floor kind of midway, the length of the plane, but otherwise, you're in trouble in a